Welcome to A Funny Thing Called Business. We are 4 business owners with over 30 years collective experience under our belts. We share the capers and triumphs of running a small business and how we now avoid perilous customer chaos and pitfalls. And today we are talking how to make your tax less taxing. I'm Clare Whalley. We also have
Darren Langley,
Kate Curry,
Pete Morgan.
Welcome. So, let's get cracking, guys. What's your... Oh, I feel like I need to do inverted commas here. Yeah. What's your favourite memory or experience in relation to tax?
I love the way we're all laughing.
I know.
And, you know...
Tax is great.
It is. Super.
Yeah.
Well,
Tax is actually quite liberating, they say, because it removes the pressure of how to spend your own money.
When I was younger, so kind of early to mid... Because I've been a freelancer, so I've paid my own tax pretty much since dropping out of college. And...
dropping out.
Yeah. And I just took kind of the guy that had been the accountant for my mum and dad when they were running a shop. What I didn't realise is that he didn't really know what he was talking about. So...
Is that why your mum and dad were just so happy?
Yeah. But for some reason, they'd not... And they knew this. They knew that he was, you know, as bent as a dog's hind leg. And but they'd moved away from him. But not kind of said, oh, yeah, we've moved away from... fella me lad, you might want to do the same. So I didn't know anything, so I just left it up to him. Never gave him receipts. Never he kind of called me once a year and go, still got your car? Yeah. You're living in a flat? Yeah. Do you ever do work at home? Yeah. All right, brilliant. I'll speak to you later. How much have you earned this year? Oh, about this much. All right then, see you later. Try, bye. And then that would be it. So one day...
Is that HMRC?
And it was a bailiff at the door saying, hello, Mr. Morgan, we've come to collect our money. Oh, right, okay. How much money are you coming to collect? £5,000. Right. I mean, I just didn't have... Yeah. I mean, it was a proper, you know... The last week of every month, I was, you know, living off dry lasagna sheets. It was that kind of level. Like I say, early 20s, you know, and you were just kind of, okay, this is how I live. So I said, well, I ain't got it. You're going to have to come in.
Oh,
so
no.
he came in. He was very polite, very nice.
Oh. As bailiffs are.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're well renowned for being polite, aren't they?
He's just he's just doing his job.
Yeah.
So I said, let me get my accountant on the phone. And my accountant speaks to him, and I hear him say, listen, mate, you're going to struggle here because this kid's got nothing. All right? So he puts the phone down to him and says, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to have to list your assets. And I'm going to come back tomorrow, and if you don't have the money, then we're going to have to take...
What were your assets? A
the
couple
stuff.
of pot noodles?
So, well, that was
dry
it.
lasagna sheets.
So, yeah. Hey, they were good quality ones. You know, proper, you know, the decent Tesco finest.
Oh.
So brought him in, and at the time, there were 2 things I was incredibly kind of protective of, and, you know, I liked owning. One was a PC, which I'd bought from scratch, and a friend had put it together, so I bought the components and he'd put it together. And my DVD collection. I had 600 DVDs.
Oh my God.
Did you bury them in the garden?
No, but I was like, there you go, 600 DVDs, they are going to be worth, you know, they're at least a tenner each. Take them, that's fine, that's okay. Your money's paid. That's the, you know, the thing done. And it was, again, one of those things that it was kind of my inner child that was crushed when he went, yeah, they're not worth £5. The Star Wars ones might be worth a little bit. Nobody wants to lose them. And so he wrote them down. And it just the thing that stayed with me, wait a minute, those Star Wars ones, they're worth an awful lot of money. And I don't mind losing them because I've got another copy of them in the back room that's not on the shelves. So he listed those, and he kind of rounded things up a little bit to make $5,000, and then.
So he did take all your.
He didn't take the stuff. He says, "I'll be back tomorrow."
Oh.
And we managed. My mum and dad stepped in and saved the day.
I should think so. It was their fault.
Yeah. And they. And the bailiff did not come back the next, which was a shame because we were having a good conversation about films and kind of
value of
doing the value of DVDs and stuff.
Were you paying this accountant in cash in a brown envelope or something? Or
I mean, this is the thing. Genuinely, I have no recollection as to how I was paying him. I must have been paying him.
Maybe you weren't paying him.
Yeah, maybe
it was just a guy who lived in a park.
Maybe he just took the money that I said. Well, he kind of get. And this was the thing. So I'd get in touch and say, and looking back, listen, I realise I am an idiot. But I'd get like a letter from HMRC, and I'd call him up and go, hey, I've had this letter. And he went, okay, find it. Just send it to me. By the way, tax bill this year is this much. And I go, okay. And he said, just post it to me and I'll sort it out.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
And he didn't send it on?
No.
Oh, God.
Or he sent part of it on. Or the tax bill was lower and he was just
siphoning.
Taken in the... And it wasn't until he passed that it was... I found out that it was indeed dog's iron leg all day long. So, and thankfully, look back and smile now. But at the time,
yeah. Well, I bet he got a lot of people into trouble.
Oh, hi, absolutely. But yeah,
Did you report him? You should.
No, again, because it was just my young naivety of right. I'm just glad to be out. And then we went with so I've been through a couple of accountants now, but the ones I'm with. Great guys, really like them. Yeah. They've got branding and I can visit them in their office if I need to, just to check that they're actually doing work. So, yeah. So
this is why you need a reputable accountant like Grant McKnight.
Exactly,
really.
You see?
There you go.
Beat
that. Here we go. I've laid the gauntlet down.
Oh, that is an awful story.
Yeah.
Go on, Kate. You follow that.
I really feel for you. Because tax is, it's my least favourite thing of running a business. I absolutely hate it. And when we decided that it was going to be the topic for today, it's like, I have no funny stories at all about this whatsoever. But I do know people who have been a bit, creative with their accounts, shall we say?
Great word for it.
Yes.
Not being, obviously can't name any names, but I do know somebody I think tried to put a speedboat through as an expense.
No. Brilliant.
Luckily the accountant went, that's not really related at all in any way whatsoever.
That's more than being creative.
Yeah, I mean
that's like claiming dog food allowance for your chihuahua and saying that they're a guard dog or something.
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't
be
work.
creative.
Yeah, or like, well, I actually wore these pants to a meeting, therefore they're a business expense because I can't turn up with no pants on. So.
Well, that's what Frank Skinner did that. The comedian Frank Skinner did that, didn't he? He bought in an auction a shirt that Elvis had wore that was, I think it cost him like £25,000. Paid £25,000, wore it on a game show, and then claimed it as a business expense, saying, "Oh, I wore it for work," and kind of put it through as that. I don't know if it was accepted, but he put it through.
It's a bit of a grey area there, isn't it? Work clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few grey areas, aren't there?
Yeah. Is that what you're sticking to, Miss Curry?
I am.
Yes, my lord.
See, I looked up some celebrity stories and I just found that, just the list of celebrities that have got, tax evasion stories, tax challenges, tax problems, prison sentences surrounding them. Pamela Anderson is on the top was in the top 100 of delinquent taxpayers. I just love that heading, delinquent taxpayers. Like that, just stop turning up for school for a few days. When it comes down to millions of pounds, you're a delinquent taxpayer.
I don't know them. I can't believe that there isn't someone in their circle who's like, "Are your taxes sorted? Are you?" I can't believe that someone of the size of Pamela Anderson, as in
what you're talking about,
fame-wise, isn't kind of getting a brown envelope, or someone isn't getting it and going, "I should probably do something about this."
But I kind of guess, when you're, dealing with like tens, hundreds of millions, how on earth, you've really got to trust the people who are dealing with your money.
I think the more you earn, the more complex it gets. Isn't it?
I read that Chuck Berry in the 1970s got done for tax evasion and got sentenced to 100 days in prison. But before he went to prison, he performed for the then president, Jimmy Carter. Obviously, to pay his tax bill as soon as he got out. So, they do find ways around.
Love it.
So is there anything you wish you'd done differently at the start of your business when it came to tax?
Bought some antiques. They'd have been a bit more valuable than
DVDs?
DVDs, yeah, maybe.
Accountancy software would be my number one. That's one of the biggest ways you can make it easier for yourself. Not spreadsheets where lots and lots of mistakes can happen and I've forgotten to account for this, that or the other, and an offset what your expenses are and that kind of thing. I can see at a couple of clicks exactly what I owe, and then I have a separate bank account and I put it all in there.
Oh, look at this! This is organised.
I have to be, otherwise I would be doing 100 days in prison.
Yeah, you wouldn't be sleeping
or selling DVDs or something, because you just have to be, and because it's my least favourite thing. I have to spend the least amount of time doing it as possible, so you have to find ways to make it more efficient for yourself. It just gets more complex. There's not just one type of tax to pay. They've got corporation tax, personal tax, VAT, and so it just gets so confusing. And then your personal tax, you have to pay a year in advance as well, and that just blows my mind. I'm like, I can't cope with this.
So the software just does it all for you. Yeah,
well, not the personal tax, and all of a sudden you can find you've got another couple of, a few grand to find that you didn't account for. So
that's something that winds me up. What you're just talking about there, paying an account.
Yeah,
it's like you've spent a year working really hard. You've got a tax bill. It reaches a certain amount, and then you have to put a year's worth of tax on account because basically the government doesn't trust you to do a runner. That you're not going to do a runner the next year before you pay your tax. So you've got to pay next year's tax before you earn it. So that winds me up quite a lot.
See, I just feel really smug about my accounts because I watched my husband do his accounts for 10 years before I became self-employed, and I used to see him spending an entire weekend locked in his office when he's an outdoorsy personal trainer, locked in an office doing accounts. And so as soon as I became self-employed, I was like, absolutely not. Accountant is going to be my first port of call. And my accountant was the first person I met at Network, and I was like, yes, you. So it was from day one, and I'm just like, never dealt with any of it. Why would you?
No.
Yeah, Matt used to be like that. He used to have shoe boxes full of receipts. And I used to sit, because he worked for himself for about 10 years before I then did it, and I was like, I'm not doing the shoebox technique.
No way, it's horrible.
Yeah. So now I've got a thing, you just take a photo of a receipt and it goes straight to your accounts.
Yeah.
And it even tells you who the supplier is, how much VAT is on it. I know, it's just, So there's so many ways now you can make it easier and not have to do the shoebox thing in the dark for a week. It's just horrible.
But that's exactly how I used to do it. I used to, my, 2 or 3 weeks before my financial year end, I would just get the envelopes out and, open that drawer on my desk of, let's get all these out, start folding them all, getting them all out and looking at them. And of course, the thing that, there's some receipts degrade over time.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to them, you're like, I can't even see this. I don't even know what it is. All I know is that was a lot of money that I've just spent and I ain't going to be able to claim it back.
All those pants I can't claim for.
That speedboat that I bought. So mine used to just be. Whereas now it is, like you say, it's the online accounting is so much easier.
And it also saves you shelves as well, because all those box files of receipts and invoices that you have to keep up there, which I'm still getting around to throwing out the old ones. But it's kind of quite liberating to get rid of all the paper stuff and have it all online, nice and safe and secure. Yeah. And then if you get tax audited, they don't have to come to your house. They can do it, they can do it remotely.
Yeah, you just send them the logins for your software. Yeah. So how do you guys track mileage? Because that's a bit of a bugbear for me. I struggle with the mileage tracking.
I use an app for it, but you just sort of put where you're going to, if it's a return journey, how many people are in the car, and it just logs the mileage. Yeah. And then you put it into your software.
Okay. What's the app?
Trip catcher.
Ooh.
So every time you get in the car for work purposes, you would just put it in that, put your route in, and then...
If I remember.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it?
Sometimes I have to go back through my calendar for the month and go, where have I been?
Yeah. Easy through lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that did used to wind me up a lot, because I used to, before apps were a thing, and before I had a company car, I used to have to keep it in a little logbook. I had little green books of mileage, and you have to write it in, and I wouldn't do it at the time, like you just said. I'd wait until I'm doing my taxes, and so I'd do 3 months' worth, going back through the diary to see where I'd been and whatever, and to kind of log it. And when I had a VAT audit, that was the one thing, because it struck me nuts anyway, but that was the one thing that became an issue, because I always used to keep all of the petrol receipts whenever I put petrol in the car, keep all of the receipts, so that whether it's for business or for pleasure, just so you've got personal, just so you've got all of those receipts and they can see them. But the business mileage was logged in the book, nice and clear. It was relatively clear. I mean,
What could go wrong?
exactly. So when the VAT people turned up to do an audit, they looked at the book. Okay, that's the book. Then they looked at all these receipts, and they thought I was claiming for all of those receipts, and they were that close to charging me about £1,000 of overclaimed petrol, and until my wife, who
she gets you out some.
She doesn't ask,
doesn't
she said, "Well, are you looking at these receipts, or are you looking at this book?" And they were like, "Oh, it's the receipts." And it's like, "But it's in the book. The book is the business mileage, and that's how much we claim." And it's like, "Oh, okay then. Right, see you then."
Yeah.
That was, without that, I'd have been £1,000 light for a tax bill that wasn't really due. So.
Yeah, you do have to be on it, don't you?
Totally on it.
Yes, obviously, I really respect the people at the VAT audit office, just in case they're listening.
This episode is brought to you by Joanna Drinkwater, who is a multi-award-winning chartered accountant, business and finance professional and managing director of Grant McKnight. Grant McKnight is a firm of qualified accountants, tax consultants and business advisors with international Big Four finance backgrounds. This month, they have been providing hints and tips to clients and local businesses about tax, corporation tax and income tax. If your company declared losses in its last corporation tax return and has historically made profits, corporation tax paid in previous years may be eligible to claim back. Personal self-assessment income tax due by the 31st of January may be eligible to be paid in instalments to help ease cash flow. Don't forget, personal tax returns for the year to 6th of April 2020 need to be filed, and income tax due needs to be paid over to HMRC by midnight on the 31st of January 2022. For further information or to arrange a free non-committal consultation, please get in touch with Grant McKnight. So what have you learned about yourself and your business through doing taxes or not, as the case may be?
Well, when I started out, I was a sole trader. I was 4 years as a sole trader, and that was quite a nice period because all the money that I earned was mine to spend however I wanted. So I could just go up to the cash machine, put in my business debit card, draw out some money and go to the pub. And that was lovely.
Yeah.
Obviously, then my accountant was like, well, if you incorporate, become a limited company, then you can save some money on some tax. So absolutely right, that's great. But it means then that your business money is the property of the limited company, which is in itself a legal entity, and you're your own legal entity. You can't start spending the company's money going to the pub, because it's like taking money out of your Auntie Doris's account and spending it without her permission. Sorry, Auntie Doris. So, that was quite a different thing. But what happened when I incorporated as a company to save some tax, it was like, great, that works out lovely. About 2 years later, this was... the idea is that you save money by paying yourself so much as an employee and take the rest as dividends. That's what company directors do. It's perfectly acceptable and right. But then a couple of years after I started to do that, they introduced the dividend tax, which basically was then a new tax on the money that I was earning. So it's like, this isn't really working out that much better. And I can't go and take some money out of the business account and go to the pub. So, so I don't know if I regret that, but I think it still saves me money.
Yeah,
but
it's going up again now, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're putting the rates up on dividend tax.
Yeah, exactly.
Hooray!
Yay!
So they always get you.
Pete, what have you learned?
I think it was an online, because I've been doing online accounting for about 3 years now. And in the first year, it was how you categorise things going out of your account. And I would literally categorise everything in the same way. I pay money to a podcast hosting website for all of my clients. I pay money to an audio editing company for the software that I use and the continued thing with that. I pay it to a kind of design website that I can do podcast cover images on and stuff like that. And to me, all of those are subscriptions.
Yes.
So they were all logged as subscriptions.
Yeah.
And my accountant was like, okay, I'm just having a look at your subscriptions. You've spent thousands on subscriptions this year, but you've not spent anything on like marketing or advert. Well, that's kind of marketing, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I've learned, is that you can't just kind of go, it's all one thing, just put it all, it's all subscriptions, because I'm subscribing to everything. It's a monthly payment, crack on. It's being a little bit more kind of descriptive as to what it is you're chucking your money at.
And then, of course, it helps you, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Work out the best places to spend your money. So, Kate, what about you?
I do that as well.
Yeah, well, I do a bit of that.
I do that as well. I just want to get it, off my desk. I'm just like, that'll do. Just wedge it in there. I'm a bit like at home, like I'm putting laundry away. Just like, I just don't want to look at the laundry. Yeah. I don't even care whose socks those are. I'll just shove
one
them
of the
in
kids.
You just want to get it off your desk. But then when you look back at your accounts, and it's really hard to work out then where your costs are and where you could save money, where you could be more efficient with it. You know, how much are you spending on marketing, and which like campaign were you working on where you were spending that?
Yeah.
And, and how much did you get back from it? You know, how do you measure the success of that campaign if you have no idea how much you spent on it? And so the knock-on effect of not being organised with your tax and with your accounts and your accounts is...
And it's just reminded me of a client who I worked with years ago, who we was looking at, how much she was spending on her marketing, and, she was looking through and she was like, I'm giving, it was thousands a quarter to a certain company. And I was like, how much business did you get on the back of it? Nothing. And it was thousands per quarter. And it was only because we were looking through and seeing where her marketing was working. But she'd been doing that for years. So it's,
There's nothing worse when you're going through and you think, I don't know what this transaction is.
Yeah.
I've got this thing here. It's and it's even, in some ways it's even worse when it's a small amount. It's like £6.49 and you think, I don't know what this is.
But that's how the fraudsters get you. They just put a little bit through at first because you don't notice it.
So it was like, and then you just start going through all of your emails and all of your receipts.
Yeah.
For
£6.50.
Exactly. When you just want to put, I'd spent it, I don't know, sweets. Put it through. Is there a category for sweets? Because that's what I've spent it on. But no, that's when it gets very frustrating.
My biggest learning is just hand over to the experts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, from day one, save yourself all the time and your money and resources, and just hand over to someone who absolutely bloody loves tax. Because it's priceless to you. Because they're going, look, receipts, I'll do them for you. Brilliant, crack on.
Absolutely, yeah. Bookkeepers as well. I mean, like talking about assigning things to particular spending categories. I used to do that when I used to manage my own Xero account, but now I have bookkeepers who do all that. All I have to do is just check whether invoices have been paid, so that I can, and even that you can outsource, obviously. Yeah. Check if an invoice has been paid and just ask the client nicely to pay it. But obviously you can outsource that to credit controllers. You can outsource the whole lot. Yeah. Because as business owners, we haven't started a business to pay tax and run an accounting software unless we're an accountancy. As designers and coaches and podcasters, we're trying to do that. That's what we're good at.
Yeah.
Not filling in tax returns.
No, hand it to the tax return geeks.
No,
Who
exactly.
absolutely bloody love doing it.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest challenge you've got right now? And obviously we're recording this mid-January and we've spoken to an accountant this morning who is, knee-deep in tax returns. What's your biggest challenge?
Remembering to pay my corporation tax bill on the 1st of January, which is when I had to make sure it's paid.
How did you? That's boring.
Last year, I completely forgot.
Yeah.
I was a couple of days late. I sort of got.
And did they fine you for being a couple of days late?
I don't think so.
I did have that issue because, like you, Kate, I have separate bank accounts where I stick the tax away, and so I call one of them like tax hole or tax haven or something, just to throw the accountants off a little bit. And I usually put the money in there quite religiously. VAT goes into one, income tax in the other, dividend tax in another, and over the lockdown period when things weren't, the brain wasn't quite functioning as well. I did look at my bank and one of my accounts had quite a decent chunk of money in it. I thought, that's nice. And then why is there a lot of money in that tax account? That's good. That's all sorted. Hang on, wait a minute. Did I pay my tax bill?
Oh no!
It's all right. It's only 6 months late, but
Oh really?
Or maybe it wasn't 6 months. I did get. I can't remember. I got a letter.
Yeah.
But it was a bit like Yes,
are you on someone's top 100 delinquent taxpayers
I could be delinquent,
list?
yes. Yeah.
He is now.
There must be so many late payers though, mustn't there?
Oh yeah, but people who are like really disorganised and don't really care. I think it's one or the other. Perhaps it's they don't care or they just.
Yeah. When I speak to my accountants and say, because my tax year is 1st of November to the 31st of October, and on the 1st of November, when I go, right, everything's done on zero, it's all sorted, thanks very much. One, I know they don't even look at it until the 1st of February because they're dealing with many other things before that comes around. But two, it's just that thing of, I'm done. That's it. I'm absolutely sorted. There's a great relief of knowing that it's just kind of sorted. But when I say, sometimes if it's like the middle of November and they're like, no, there's people who literally years late with their books. And it's like, how do you sleep?
I know.
Yeah.
I have to admit, when I first started my business, the first couple of years, I was never organised with my tax money. I was like, oh no, I'll just spend all the money.
Yeah.
And then when it came to the end of the year, I was like, oh, I haven't actually got even like £10 of that. And I'm like, quick, get some money in. Yeah. But now I love it because I'm like, I've got that money. It's all there sitting waiting in an account to pay.
What's nice with the VAT one is that sometimes, because obviously you put more money, if I put aside money for every VAT, every invoice that I put out to clients and they pay it and I put that VAT payment into an account, then when it comes time to do your VAT return, obviously you can claim back on your VAT for your expenses. So the amount that's usually charged is usually less than the amount that's in the account. So there's usually a little bit left over, which is quite nice.
Yes, I
Withdraw
like
it and
that.
go to the pub.
I'm like, I've got that money that I could either leave in there for next year or go and, spend. It's a really good feeling being organised with
exactly.
your tax.
That's the way to do it.
So what are the silver linings when it comes to tax? Got any silver linings?
I suppose it pays for the roads or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Schools, keeps the kids occupied.
Go to hospital if I need to.
That's
that kind of the kind of dull stuff.
I just love the fact that there are people out there who love doing this job.
Yeah, you're right.
That most of us absolutely despise. And just the thought of sitting there for hours and days, going through your receipts and your money and there are people like, bring it on.
Bring it on. Although, because I remember speaking to an accountant at Networking, not my accountant, who loves receipts and but hates doing their own.
Yeah.
Loves doing other people's.
Yeah.
Cannot stand doing their own. And so they get someone else in their company to do theirs.
Do you think that's like a sadistic thing? It's like, here's your tax bill. But when it's their own, it's like, that's my tax bill.
My cleaner.
Fingers in ears, eyes shut. No.
My cleaner's got her own cleaner, which I love.
What?
Yeah, it blew my mind. I'm like, that's brilliant. She don't clean her own house. Because she spends all week cleaning houses.
Yeah. That's
And she knows the limitations, maybe.
Yeah, but that seems really weird. It's like, Darren, you do your own website, don't you?
I do, but now I'm thinking, should I
Exactly,
outsource
yeah.
that?
Yeah, but I've got a business coach.
You have?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. I make my own podcast. Nobody else does it.
Yeah.
Apologies. That was one of my dogs.
Yeah.
One of my dogs who clearly has a problem with tax. Anyway.
Oh, that was funny. That was kind of comedy timing then for in here. Guys, it's been brilliant talking about tax with you.
I know. It's made it seem better.
It hasn't been taxing at all.
Oh, you see what he did there?
You like that, yeah. Oh, dear.
Accountants for me are like magicians.
Yeah.
They just come in and they're like, yeah, let me take it all away. Let me disappear.
Yeah.
And I'll just come back with that end figure that you've already got in the bank because you've been all organised.
Yeah.
So, if you've loved listening to our talk about tax today, please
Start that one again.
Please shut up, Regan.
Yeah. Please, if you've liked
Shove
today's
off.
episode,
Do not
shove
say
off.
anything.
For the love of all.
We're only here for the haters.
If you have loved our
That's staying in.
podcast today, please share, subscribe and review so all our fellow business owners can enjoy, be inspired and always keep focused on the fun side of business too.
Can claim all of this back on my tax. This kitchen table, claiming that back.
Oh yeah.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.